Hi, my friends, and welcome back. I'm Katy Jo. I'm a clinical social worker, and I've created this channel to help us all get more real, whether you're changing your life or you just want to get more authentic for yourself first and then for everyone around you. Are you an introvert? I am, and I have just recently embraced this fully in my life, although I've always known I was an introvert. I am able to be extroverted for limited periods of time, but my true self is an introvert. I want to talk about the pros and the cons to being an introvert. And if you are an extrovert, this video might help you understand, work with, live with, deal with introverts a little bit better. So let's jump in. Let's start with the pros. There are many pros to being an introvert. One of those is that introverts are generally very comfortable with their own company. They like to be alone. They like to engage in quiet activities. They're not very often lonely because they like aloneness. That's how they regenerate. That's how they take in the world. Introverts process internally rather than verbally, externally, with other people all the time. They're very analytical and take things in first alone to see how they feel, how they look, how they sound before they make a judgment or even decide the reality of a situation that has happened. Introverts are great backup people. They sometimes like to work behind the scenes. I'm not saying introverts are all behind the scenes people. Many introverts like to perform, they like to be out front, but that has a limited shelf life. Their comfort zone and the way they regenerate, again, is alone. Introverts also prefer to listen than to talk about themselves. I know this is true for me, and I've noticed it in others, that we're quite protective about our private space, about our internal life, about our private life. We like to keep that kind of open, whether it's physical space, I don't like somebody right in front of me talking to me, or whether it's my own private life. I really like to keep that to myself. I'll divulge some things about myself, especially if I'm close to people or if I feel it's appropriate and we have built a connection or I'm wanting to build a connection. But in general, you'll find me and other introverts listening much more than we talk. We like to hear other people's stories. It helps us understand the world without having to go out and do this external exploration of everything. We learn a lot just by listening. Introverts don't need constant stimulation. We live a lot inside our heads. I know I do this, and it's can be very distracting. Sometimes I can drive somewhere or be doing something and get completely lost in my own thoughts. And I often think what's happening inside my head is more interesting than what's happening around me. Now, this could be completely delusional. I'm aware of that. I guess what I'm saying is that I'm entertained by what's going on in my own mind. And I think a lot of introverts are like that, which is why we don't need to constantly surround ourselves with other people or constantly seek out external stimulation. We're good with ourselves being quiet in our own heads. Now for some of the downsides of being an introvert. First of all, socializing. It's an ongoing challenge. It's not that we don't like to do it, it's that we've set a timer or something, and a little bit goes a really long way. For me, my timer is about 2 hours and then I am done. The people in my life know this. I do want to say, in fairness, during that 2 hours, I'm in it, man. I can be social, I'm a great listener, I am funny, I like to be with people. I also find it exhausting. Couple of hours, and then I need to go away for a minute and regroup and just be with myself before going back to do it again. This can be misunderstood by people, so it's good. I've found it better just to be open about that. If I have a party, I usually put a time frame on it. Part of that is just because I know that if it goes and goes and goes, I'm going to get really tired of it and shut off at some point, and that's going to appear rude. I don't want to do that. So I will just set a time frame on a party, usually for maybe 5 hours on a really long party. That is maximum for me, and it helps me to know that there's a beginning and an end, so I can be my most engaged self while it's going. The other thing that's kind of a disadvantage is that people don't generally know how to read introverts, right? Sometimes our quietness, our observation, our analytic nature can make it seem like we're either disengaged, we're bored with what's happening, we're disinterested in what's happening, and that is not true. It's just that we're taking it all in. That's how we do it. We keep our thoughts, especially in the beginning, to ourselves, because I don't know about the rest of you introverts, but for me, I know that my first take on a situation is probably not going to be accurate. There's a lot of different things at play at the same time. I want to make sure that I'm being quiet, that I'm taking it in, that I'm listening, that I'm observing before I start talking about it, because it won't be fully formulated for me. So if it seems to you like an introvert in your life is disengaged or uninterested, they're not. Just realize that they have a different approach. People think we're uber shy as introverts. That's not necessarily accurate either. It's not that I'm shy around people. It's simply that I want to pace myself, and I want to decide how and when and over what I'm going to engage. Introverts usually hold themselves back until something feels meaningful enough to jump in and engage, and then we can really have a lot of fun. If you are an introvert, embrace that. It is a beautiful thing. It's not as fully appreciated sometimes as extroverts, because extroverts are fun, they're funny, they're out there, they're visible, they're talking for everyone to see and enjoy. So it can feel like the quietness is kind of a wallflower effect. It's not. What you have to offer is so valuable. There's been times in my life where I've had to be more extroverted in order to perform at a job, in order to fulfill a role, and it's actually kind of fun for a while. And then I want to be my introvert self again. So whatever you are, embrace it. But shout out to all introverts. Be exactly what you are. Hey, thanks for joining me today. Glad you're here. Take great care of yourself. Remember to be as real as you possibly can. I'll see you again in my next video. Bye.